This is a complete WordPress landing page, sticky navigation, a dark hero, a metrics band, a testimonial, an FAQ, and a footer. 11 sections, and no human designer ever touched it. An AI built it from a single prompt, using NoLeemits AI Design, our AI design plugin for WordPress, without dragging a single widget. Today we put it up against Angie, Elementor's artificial intelligence. The same prompt at the same time, on the same WordPress install. Here's what happened. We are going to run a really interesting test, comparing Elementor's AI editor against our own WordPress plugin. Before we start, I switch the page template over to Canvas, so the AI has the full width of the screen to work with. Here I open Angie, Elementor's AI agent, and before generating anything at all, the single most important step is writing a good prompt. I prepared 2 prompts. Prompt A builds a complete product landing page. Prompt B is a pricing page that deliberately does not restate the brand tokens to see whether the agent remembers them. We start with prompt A, the same instruction, the same page, 2 different engines, Elementor with Angie on one side and NoLeemits AI Design on the other, both in parallel and on the clock. Ours does not live inside a visual editor. It is driven over MCP from ChatGPT, from Codex, from Claude Desktop or Claude Code. I paste exactly the same text, without one extra instruction. I had forgotten the stopwatch, so I start one now. From here it is just watching, 2 agents, the same brief, and no shortcuts for either of them. And this is the prompt, because this is where everything is decided. I did not ask for a nice-looking landing page. I asked for a specific art direction and a set of very demanding technical rules. Backgrounds lit from within, colored light bleeding between sections, elements that overlap and break out past their section edges, asymmetry instead of centered symmetry, and it must not look like a template. The part that genuinely separates the two, every image in WebP, no PNG and no JPEG, each file sized to the slot it fills, descriptive file names, real alt text, width and height declared, the hero loading with high priority, and all of it together under 400 kilobytes. Both of them start with the images. Angie has already generated hers, and on the other side several are ready, and they look genuinely professional. And yes, ours is already using WebP. Angie has its own generator, and it uses it, photographic style, landscape ratio, and then it asks me whether the proportions look right to me. Ours does not ask, it makes its own decisions and carries on, and this is what kept coming out on Angie's side, against what I actually asked for, a small matte charcoal desk sensor with a thin violet light seam. Judge for yourself. On the left, what NoLeemits AI Design uploaded. The device exists, the mood is dark, and the violet light is exactly where it was asked to be. On the right, what Angie uploaded, a monitor on a wooden desk. And ours does not stop at generating the picture. It converts them to WebP, each one sized to its exact slot, and checks the budget before uploading them. 30.9 kilobytes for all 3 images together. The limit was 400, it says so itself, and it verified that on its own, before I ever asked it to. And this is what ended up in the code. The hero, WebP 11.6 kilobytes, width and height declared, loading eager and fetch priority high. The ones further down lazy. On Angie's side, an unsplash URL, no dimensions, no priority. Meanwhile, on the Elementor side, all 3 image tasks are sitting there flagged with a warning, and the very first section of the page is still spinning without ever finishing. Angie starts exploring resources, first Elementor's capabilities and limitations, and then the list of WordPress pages. That second lookup comes back as an error. And 6 minutes in, this arrives. It asks my permission to open the page in the editor and start building the sections. 6 minutes in, and it still had not started. On the other side, the page already existed as a draft. But look closely at what this actually is, a preview caught mid-build. It looks almost finished, but it isn't. The agent was still working. It finished 16 minutes after I sent the prompt. And this is how it ended up. Sticky navigation, a hero with the device, live data cards floating over the image, and the press strip right underneath. 11 sections top to bottom. And this was Angie's page at the 8-minute mark, open in the Elementor editor. A heading, the header and footer the theme already provides, and one empty container, not a single section. And to be fair, this is what Angie eventually published after the recording had stopped. A navigation bar that overlaps the theme's own and a hero, one section out of the 11 the prompt asked for. And look closely at that image, because this is the part that surprised me most. It is not one of the ones Angie generated. It is a photo hot-linked straight from Unsplash, an external server, with alt text describing something the photo is not. And this is the scoreboard, read straight out of the source of both pages. 11 sections against 1. 3 of its own images in WebP against none. Width and height declared on all 3 against none at all. 7,200 pixels of page against 1,192, and 16 minutes from the prompt to a finished page. And now the thing I forgot to mention, which for me is what separates it from everything else. When the AI finishes, it does not leave you a block of HTML pasted into WordPress. It leaves you real fields. Every piece of copy in its own labeled field, grouped by section, 83 fields across 11 sections. And the same for images, the file path, a button to swap it from the media library, and the alt text right there. With other tools you would be editing the whole HTML by hand. I want to be fair to Elementor. It is an enormous tool with years of work behind it, and Angie is labeled experimental beta. This could look completely different tomorrow. But this test was a single attempt with the same prompt at the same time. And that is why prompt B, the pricing page, never ran at all. There was no point asking for a second page when the first one did not exist. And this is what I really wanted to tell you. I am a developer. I have spent years building landing pages by hand, and this plugin lifted a weight off me that I did not know I was carrying. I think NoLeemits AI Design is going to set the direction in WordPress, and right now it is the first one doing this end-to-end. I hope you try it and feel exactly what I felt. I will leave the link in the description.